I've got a pile of slides here, and we'll get through them as quickly as we can, and maybe get some questions in. Okay, this is where we start. Paris, France, the United Nations, a whole lot of lefties here celebrating your beauty. We've signed the Paris Agreement. What a great, wonderful thing it was. All the excitement of the day. And no one's saying there hasn't been some warming in temperatures. This is the satellite chart. It's a monthly satellite chart of temperatures since 1979 when they first started to take the satellite temperature measurements. The last measurement was just 0.19 of a degree Celsius in August 2018, which, mind you, is less than what it was back in September 1988. So 30 years ago, the temperature was the same globally about what it was today. And if you look at what the red line here is what the IPCC models actually predict the warming will be. The blue and the green are what the actual observations from the satellites and the balloons tell us. So there's this huge gap is starting to appear. And I believe the longer time goes on, the greater the discrepancy will be between what the models are meant to show and what the real temperature actually is. The Maldives, they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars are being invested in building new hotel resorts. Some of the most luxurious hotel resorts in the world are currently under construction in the Maldives, but now is meant to be underwater. Sinking islands, the science tells us that Tuvalu, which we often hear about, is actually growing, not sinking. That's what the peer-reviewed science tells us. So the Pacific island of Tuvalu has grown 73 hectares over 40 years. Tuvalu as an island is actually getting bigger. It's not climbing the ocean. Again, that's the peer-reviewed science. Sinking Pacific islands are getting bigger. This is what science tells us, which is the exact opposite of what we are told so much in the media. Our friends at the National Farmers Federation tells us that we must tackle climate change. You know, certainly the farmers are doing it tough at the moment with the drought. But if we look at the evidence, this is from the Bureau of Meteorology, and this shows the rainfall anomaly in the Murray-Darling Basin going back to the 1900s, since the financial year, and you see down here, sure, we're in a terrible drought at the moment. That's the red line down here. So but the blue is more rainfall, the higher red is less rainfall. But we see going back to the 1940s and even back to the 1900s, as Dorothy McKellar said, relented drought and flooding rains. We always have been, we always will be. Cyclone frequency, we're told the cyclones are getting worse. No, the peer-reviewed science says they're actually getting less. No matter how you measure it, tropical storms or tropical hurricanes, there's simply no increase. Of course, our friend in the Greens, Dean Natali, he says climate change is to blame for these natural disasters. And he says the federal government's failure that are causing all these severe cyclones that are occurring. But if we look at the evidence, this is from the Australian Bureau of Meteorology. Now we had, back in 2015-16, we had the first year since satellite records, we didn't have a single severe cyclone in the Australian area. You can see it's trending downwards, not upwards. Coral bleaching, we're told coral bleaching was something that was new. The peer-reviewed science now tells us it's a centuries-old problem that has gone on forever. Arctic sea ice. Roald Amundsen sailed through the Northwest Passage in 1906 without navigation, without satellite navigation, in that small boat. This year he wouldn't get through. That's also in 1941 and 42, a Canadian also crossed it through the Northwest Passage. This year, you can't do it. Snowfall, think of the past, snow's meant to be declining. That's what we're told. You look at the evidence. Global Northern Hemisphere winter snowfall. The trend is increasing. This year, I think Perisher had another great year, following a great year from last time. Of course, there was also meant to be now 50 million climate change refugees. Originally, they were meant to be in 2010. The UN even printed a map about where these 50 million climate refugees were to come from by 2010. So when they didn't turn up by 2010, they changed the dates and they said they come by 2020. But there is one place where there's refugees, and that's in Venezuela. And they are refugees from socialism. That's what they are fleeing. We've always had dangerous weather. And in fact, if you look through the Galveston, the biggest climatic disaster in US history, the whole city was destroyed in 1900. I could go on and on and on with these things. The reality is today, we live at a time where our generation has never ever been as safe from the climate at any time in human history. And we are safer because of fossil fuels, because of concrete, because of steel and iron and aluminium. All those things that our leftist mates want to shut down are the reasons why that we are so safe. And they've got to completely back the front. The climate was always dangerous. We didn't make it dangerous. It's fossil fuels that protect us from that climate. It's not fossil fuels that made the climate dangerous. Australia, we're at 26 to 28% banning. That's what we've signed up to, because the USA is in there, but they're no longer out, because there's no Russia, there's no China, there's no India, there's no Indonesia. But what you do, if you look at, remember that is economy-wide emissions reductions. It doesn't take in per capita. When you look per capita, and you take our very high rates of immigration, the highest rates of immigration and population increase of any Western country, our 26 to 20% target turns into a 50 to 52% target per capita. So our Paris target is the most onerous of any nation in the world because of our high rates of population growth. The vast majority have only signed up because they want to get their hands on the pile of cash. Now, one very key clause in here, which will give our former leader Tony Abbott great praise, it says, under Paris Agreement, applicable to all. There's a precondition in there that says we will do A, B, C, D, F, G if it's applicable to all. It's no longer applicable to all. The US is out. China is doing nothing. India is doing nothing. Russia is doing nothing. So we have an escape clause from that agreement if we want to do so.